Well, I'm David Bennett. I would like to do a little presentation here. Our nation is facing a crisis. It's not next week or next month or even next year, but the geometric percent fractals have produced some targets that are really heartbreaking. In 1944, the Brentwood Accord decided to lock the price of gold, and they inadvertently locked the price of crude oil at $3.50 to $4. And the whole time gold was locked at $35, gold was held at $35. Crude oil stayed between $3.50 and $4. President Nixon released the price of gold in 1971, and basically he inadvertently released the price of crude oil. It shot up 750%, gold price did, and then crude oil shot up from under $4 to just under 30. In 1986, it fell down. The flash inflation event was over. This had released 18 and a half years of inflation. Then we had flat inflation or low inflation until after 2000. 18 and a half years later, in 2004, right on time, 2004 plus Q3, the price of crude oil broke the old highs and marched up about 1,000%, depending on where you want to do the mean average, to about just under $150. And so what this is a by locking the price of gold, it locked crude oil, and this actually locked inflation in place for almost 2 decades. When Nixon released it, he released gold and crude oil, and crude oil transfers inflation to the CRB index, which is basically everything we consume, everything, literally everything. Then the crude oil flashes up, CRB index follows its step for step. This flash inflation event crushes all economics because it's quarter over quarter, it's billions of dollars. It's billions of dollars each quarter, quarter over quarter, for basically 4.5 years, 4.4 years. So when it collapses, gold finishes taking over that and absorbs the rest of the inflation transfer, which is intrinsic value flowing out of the U.S. dollar because of Federal Reserve Board actually printing money out of thin air. And they tried to hide this with the Brentwood Accord, and it started this splashing effect, and we are in low inflation. It started in 1986 low inflation and went for 18 and a half years to 2004. It started again in 2016, exactly 30 years later, was the low price of crude oil in the same quarter, 1986 plus Q1. Then again, we hit the low oil price again in 2016, Q1, 30 years to the quarter. And guess what? We've got 18 and a half years, and in 2034 plus Q3, we will see crude oil break the $140 to $50 barrier. And the geometric percent fractals, which is a 21-year, 8,000 plus hour project that I never thought I would finish. I finished in 2012 trying to build a better day trading tool that's absolutely useless to me because it's too much noise, it's too accurate. The further out you get, you go from minute bar charts to daily bar charts to weekly bar charts to monthly. when you get to the monthly bar charts, the accuracy is stunning. I have buried, drowned, smothered CNBC under emails. They know this. For a fact, they know this. For a fact. This is the biggest, most dangerous economic event facing this nation. I have letters from the President of the United States over this. And there's nothing but silence. $396 oil, when we go past the $150 area in 2034, after 2035, in 4.4 years, we're going to be looking at $400 crude oil, $37 gas, and the CRB index is going to be at 870 to 880, almost 900. It'll triple or quadruple, based on 2019 crude oil usage. In the last 10 years, electric vehicles, being hydrogen electric or battery recharge electric or whatever, we've reduced gasoline consumption 1 or 2%. If we stay on this path, the geometric percent fractal math states, I don't like this. I don't want to say this. It states that we're going to see a economic destruction that's going to exceed 2 to 3 times what we saw in 2008 and 9, and we only barely escaped that. Barely. Just barely. So, I'm not trying to sell you something. I don't have anything to sell anybody on LinkedIn. Anybody. Nobody. I don't have any. I'm just saying I'm giving you 28 years, freely sharing with you 28 years of backbreaking research. Backbreaking research. I hand-built charts of crude oil back to 1902. From 1970, it took me a couple of years in 96 and 97. I did that in my spare time, having a full-time job. I just had to know. So if we don't get off of crude oil, or if we don't devalue gold and push that intrinsic value back out of gold and push it back into the US dollar, where a gallon of milk is 25 or 30 cents, and we just stay on crude oil and keep cruising along here like we're doing and just keep printing money, 2035, 2034 plus Q3, basically 2035. By the time 2039 gets here, there will not be nothing but economic ashes across the globe. Literally economic ashes. There's no way, with the levels of debt we currently have, that there will be a fraction of a chance to survive. All the currencies are going to become insolvent. Every single currency on the globe will be insolvent. We will not have a means of exchange. Now, I don't know what that means to you, but what it means to me is we will not be able to go to Walmart. Your credit card will not work. Your checkbook will not work. The US dollar is not working. This is going to be, I'll trade you something for, it's going to be all barter system. And this is just completely hidden from the American people. 100%. And there's people on my email list, thousands of people. I've done this for 53 months. Not 3 weeks or 3 days, 53 months. And there's folks that know for a fact what's going on, and there's nothing but silence. I'm going to leave this with you. You think about what I've just said. This breaks my heart. I stood on oil and gas wells for 4 decades without 2 straight weeks off. And it gave me a wonderful charmed, challenging, and some days miserably hard, but an enjoyable, good life. Why would I be telling everybody we have got to get off crude oil? It's because it's an inflation transfer, it's a conveyor belt for inflation. It's an inflation indicator, it's an inflation transfer mechanism to the CRB index. And once it collapses and the price of gold collapses and the CRB index relaxes a little bit, gold shoots up. The geometric percent fractal target for gold by 2041 is $5,400. But here's the deal. We as humans, we have will. Our Creator gave us will to make the right choice. If we do everything that we possibly can do, everything, He'll help us a little ways. If we sit on our duff and don't do anything, He won't help us one bit. I promise you that. Because this is a man-made flash inflation event that dumps 18 and a half years of inflation in 4.4 years. And the people, there's some people at think tanks, our best economic think tanks, universities, CNBC at the top, and every news agency, thousands upon thousands of emails have this information. And there's only silence. We need to get off of crude oil. And we need to deflate gold down to $30 and push all that intrinsic value back into the US dollar that our sorry ass Federal Reserve Bank has diluted out of it. That's what we need to do, folks. Now let me tell you something. You can do whatever, it is what it is, but we have got to fix this. Because one way or the other, it's going to fix itself. If we don't fix it, I promise you, this will be repaired. But if we let it fix itself, all the laughter and all of the people that are making big jokes about what I post in LinkedIn, all that laughter is going to turn to very, very deep tears and sadness, heartbreak. It's going to be a real bad deal. But anyway, I appreciate it, and I hope that we can get it done. We really, really, really need to get off of crude oil and move to these batteries. And think about this. Clean air, pristine clean air, is a really, really good thing. That's not a bad thing. Anyway, thank you. I hope this has been of some use. I hope that we can get this done. The importance of this is, there's no words. It's just so important. Thank you.